Welcome to the Science Shaping Beauty, the official podcast of the New York Society of Cosmetic Chemists, where we share everything you need in beauty and personal care product development, from formula to finish. I'm your host and NYCC chair, Anushka Nadkarni. As we explore the breakthroughs shaping our industry, we're counting down to NYCC Suppliers Day, May 19th and 20th, in New York City, the must-attend event for all ingredients, insights, and inspirations. Today's episode is a special one. I'm joined by someone who has not only contributed extensively to the scientific community, but has also been a passionate force behind education and sustainability within our field. Dr. Hank Ma has been an integral part of the NYSCC scientific community, bringing both depth of knowledge and a strong commitment to advancing cosmetic science. From his work in research and formulation to his leadership in sustainability-focused initiatives, Hank represents the kind of forward-thinking expertise that's shaping the future of beauty. In this conversation, we're going to beyond surface, exploring his journey, his perspective on sustainability, the cosmetics, and the science that underpins meaningful innovation. So let's dive in.
Thank you so much, Anushka. Thank you for the wonderful introduction.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be here. This is my first podcast. So excited to be here.
Lovely. So we'll start with a little bit to get to know you. I mean, I know you because you're more than just a guest and a friend to me. Let's get to know you in terms of, could you elaborate on what do you do professionally?
Absolutely. So I am a researcher and educator at the University of Rhode Island. So I am doing my study at the intersection between natural products, skin biology, and the cosmetic industry.
Lovely. And how long have you been in academia or teaching?
So basically, all my life is kind of in academic.
Okay.
So I finished my PhD education and stayed in this field doing a lot of research on natural products. Then I had the opportunity to work with industry collaborators. That kind of helped me extend it to cosmetic studies within industry, which was an incredible journey for me.
So that leads me to another question. Was this always the plan, like mentoring or teaching?
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. So when I used to thought about teaching as a extra work, even burden at some points. So at that time, maybe language barrier, maybe too much preparation work, all of that. So I was about to just do research, just focus on research. But I still remember the first time I stepped into the classroom. I taught my students, and I give something that they can learn, they can remember, they can get from that class. You can see the sparkling of their eyes. I know that they learned something, and that feeling was so rewarding. So I keep doing more, and more. So that becomes like now more than 10 years of teaching.
That's amazing. And just to extend to your language barrier point, right? From someone who's not from the United States, I speak very accented English, and that has always been a barrier for me as well. So just breaking that shackle, and the two of us sitting right here says bounds about where we've reached. So congratulations, and I'm so glad that you were able to teach, because that's something that you do so amazingly.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And I actually think, look at back, the process like learning English, learning the technology, learning the skills, learning the industry is based on numerous of conversations like this. I talk to my students, I talk to my colleagues, I talk to friends, professionals, and those conversations actually really helped to shape what I am today.
Absolutely.
So I'm really grateful for that.
We are grateful to have you. So
Thank you. Yeah.
Now let's dive into our topic for the day, right? Sustainability. And to that, the first question is, everybody, I'm sure, has your own definition of being sustainable or what sustainability means to them. I'm very curious to know, what is your definition?
That's a great question. So for me, sustainability has to tie up with innovation, right? So when we talk about sustainability, we are thinking of something limited resources, right? It's something you can not use forever without like it could be endless. But the reality is anything could be limited. Your resources, your time, your energy, all of that. The bottleneck is not only about claiming. It's not okay. You stick something called sustainable, then it becomes endless. It's really about the technology, the innovation. So whenever I thought about sustainability in cosmetic industry, I think about ingredient that is used to be very scarce, right? Some of those compounds either extracted from plants or from animal, you cannot get enough from limited resources. Some of those compounds, their natural abundance is so limited in plants. You have to cut down the grass, you have to cut down the tree to extract it. That is not sustainable.
Right.
That is not the future for the next generation. That is not the future for the earth. So that's where science, technology, innovation came from, right? So you have technology, involvement of science, technology, help you to produce those type of precious, rare compounds from different resources. It used to be plant, then it moved to chemical synthesis. Then when synthesis is not sustainable or synthesis creates too much waste, you think about biosynthesis. You think about how can you get those type of compound through, for example, fermentation, where you have less impact to the environment, but could scale it up to meet the demand of those compounds. So for me, it's actually sustainable. It's almost like immediately tied up to science, to innovation.
That's amazing. I do feel like merging the two is so important, especially in this day and age.
Yeah,
You cannot be innovative without thinking about sustainability. So
absolutely.
they're definitely cousins, and you have to ensure that they are tied together. Okay.
Exactly.
That leads to my second question, actually, because adapting sustainability to the beauty industry, especially, can be tackled by different facets. So there is ingredients, and there's formulations, and there's methods of development, there's packaging. Because you come from an ingredient expertise background, I would like
Yep.
to for you to elaborate on what does that mean in the ingredient aspect.
Absolutely. So this actually tied up to my research background. So for my lab, just quickly tell you what do we do in the lab. We study the chemistry of natural products. We study the biological effect of those natural products on skin, and how can we even develop it into an ingredient. So that's what we do. So my experience tells me that when we talk about a sustainable ingredient, it's more about the fundamental research. We have to understand the chemistry of the ingredient very well. I give you an example. We worked on a project that where we can extract compound from certain part of the plant. Sometimes it's common to say that botanical ingredients come from the root of the plant. They have very unique chemistry. It has a lot of good compounds. But the problem is you have to cut down the tree or the grass to get at the root. And there are so limited materials from that part. So what we do is we look at different parts of the plants. Some of them are more sustainable. For example, the leaves, the twigs, where you can always have it without sacrifice the tree. So that's a way of innovation for sustainable ingredients. But the challenging part is that you have to understand the chemistry very well. The chemistry of the root could be differently from the chemistry of leaves because they have different biological functions. So if you want to replace the ingredient that is built up from the root by replacing by the leaves, you probably need to understand the chemistry a little bit better, say if they have some kind of like bioequivalence. The second part is that when we have this idea to develop a sustainable ingredient, you think about the resources. In addition to that, you think about the processing aspect. Again, if you extract something from the root, it could be very different compared to if you extract something from the leaves. That's again where technology science come from. We have developed different ways, approaches
Mhm.
to extract the different parts of the plant. And then lastly, I think it's something easily get overlooked. The third layer is uh, the biological effect, right? Now you have something from the different part of the plant. Are they delivering the same uh, benefit to the skin? So that's something we really we're really curious about. So we set up different models, different bioassays to compare, to evaluate the biological effect, the skin beneficial effect of extract from different parts of the plant. So that's in a nutshell is how do we take our approach? That's
Mhm.
our philosophy when we think about develop a new, uh, novel, sustainable ingredient.
That's a great approach because I feel like it's so wholesome to understand that it's easier to get a product passport or an
Mm.
ingredient passport, but
Yeah,
the actual nitty-gritties around what part of the plant is used, it's so essential. It does play a lot with the mechanism of action of that
exactly,
plant, of
exactly.
how it would work biologically, so how that would mean what it would mean for claim substantiation in the long run,
You
right?
touch all the important points.
From you. So amazing. Okay, so now for me, we throw in a lot of words very easily in terms of what's sustainable, what's green, etc., right? And another word that's thrown around in our industry very easily is biodegradable,
Hmm.
right? So I want to know, in your opinion, does sustainable mean biodegradable? And either stance, I wanted to just elaborate on what do you think about that.
Yes, I would think uh, biodegradable is not just equal to sustainability, because sustainability, you have to think it from a system level, not just one single aspect. I mean, biodegradable is a great thing, and I think we have a great positive movement towards that in the industry. But when you think about sustainability, it's a concept of the life cycle, right? Where you source it, where you process it, how it end up at the end life. So I think bio degradability is only at the end life of the products. Of course, you want it reduce the harm to the environment. You want it to be easy handled at the end. But if you take a step back, look at the entire life circle of products, of ingredients. You don't want to overlook the upstream, which is where it come from,
Hmm.
the sourcing of that ingredient, and also how you process it, how you obtain it. I think that's equally important than just the
Absolutely.
end life of the ingredient. So I would say biodegradable is very important. That's where a lot of innovation comes from. But I think it has to tied up to um, uh, the whole life cycle of the ingredient.
And it's equally, I would say, important, like you mentioned, like to see from where that ingredient comes from, but also to understand where the ingredient goes into nature.
Absolutely,
So I
absolutely.
think both ends have to really make sense environmentally,
Yep,
but also be conscious about the fact that you need to know the entire, like you said, rightly said, this life cycle of an ingredient. As much as it's important to have the life cycle of your product, like the finished good, but also important to know what the packaging or the life cycle of packaging would look like.
totally great.
Love that. And the other, leading to my other question, is the other topic that is, I would say, well spoken of, but also I want to make sure that we address it. What do you think exactly, in your opinion, is clean beauty?
That's another great topic. So I actually teach a class called Herbal Medicine and Functional Food, and clean beauty, clean label is one of the topic we discuss in the classroom. And every time I talk about this topic, you can see the dynamic in the classroom, right? Students, they argue with each other. They come from different perspective. I actually love it because I think uh, just the label of clean beauty sometimes it's easily to get so overlooked from one side to the other side.
Mhm.
So what I want to say is that it has to be a critical thinking way to say that. A lot of times when they talk about clean beauty, it means you exclude some certain ingredient, certain chemicals.
Mhm.
You don't want to say chemical. You don't want to say synthesize the chemical. That's kind of the impression of consumers. But the challenge is that you cannot find anything that is no chemical. Everything is
Absolutely.
chemical. The other thing is when you think about clean beauty, uh, you might overlook that some ingredients, although it could be labeled as clean beauty, it comes from natural resources. You extract it from a plant. It sounds very safe, very natural.
Right.
But during the process, the quality control, the standardization of extraction process could be very challenging.
Hmm.
So it could end up like you have some toxins in those extracts.
Right.
So how you design your extraction, how you even where you source your material becomes really challenging. So on the other side, although sometimes we don't want to hear about chemicals, especially synthesized chemicals, but you think about that, that is under a controlled process. The purity is there. You can easily control what is the purity, what is the specifications for those ingredients. So I won't immediately turn it off when it's chemical synthesized
Mhm.
ingredients,
Mhm.
but it's more a way of critical thinking. You look at the process of extraction for botanical extract. You look at the how do you synthesize those chemicals, and you compare which one has less chemical waste,
Right.
which one has less impact to the earth,
Right.
which one is more sustainable. So for me, that's what I teach in in the classroom, and also that's what I learned from the classroom even.
Absolutely. My stance on this is very similar to yours, wherein I feel like currently our industry has their own definition of clean beauty, and it's very subjective.
Exactly. I totally agree with you on that one. I think there are still gap between where are we and where we want to be. I
Correct.
think one thing is how do we standardize the measurement of
Right.
clean beauty,
Right.
even the definition, or
Absolutely.
how do we practice
Yeah.
clean beauty in the industry? I think we need a measurable um, standardization
Correct.
approach,
Correct.
philosophy towards clean beauty.
I almost envision our industry to look at clean beauty more objectively than
Yeah,
subjectively. And I think the right way, in my opinion, would be education and more education on the subject.
absolutely. And you see the trend. A lot of
Absolutely.
brands, a lot of ingredient supplier, they're moving towards that
Yes.
direction.
Yes.
I think it's more the industry is
Mm-hmm.
more
Yeah.
transparent. It's more data driven. I think we're heading a very promising direction, which
Yeah.
is something really exciting.
And the flip side to this is, Hank, that I feel like even consumers know what they're using. The
Exactly.
consumer knows you. We are no longer in that era where the consumer is unaware,
Right.
or the consumer is very aware. So transparency is the only way forward, I think.
Absolutely. So kind of like tie it back to the topic we just talked about, like teaching and mentoring.
Right.
Same thing. You teach the consumers, you educate the market, but at the same time, it's a mutual learning, mutual improve process.
Right.
The feedback you get from consumers, the more they are educated, the more ideas they have, the more they may help you to shape your product's development.
Absolutely.
So I think that trend in the industry, I think it's tangible.
Lovely. Here's hoping that we'll have more objective, clean beauty
Absolutely.
definitions.
Yeah.
As a researcher, Hank, what is your source of inspiration?
That's great question. So I think the most important resources for inspiration
Mhm.
or for anything that excited you in the science, in the research, is kind of like the exchange of ideas. right? So it could be any format, it could be any type. It could be that I teach the class in the classroom. I teach students in the classroom. It could be I mentoring my student in the lab. It could be the conversations I have with my colleagues, and it could be the podcast we're having it right now.
Right.
And that I would actually think about that. Um, we have many good events set up by NYSCC,
Right.
like the symposium, the sustainability symposium we had, right? That is a perfect uh, uh, event where
Right.
you gather all the industry experts and also expert from academic, and they talk about their expertise in different category segments in the industry for sustainability. That's where you get new ideas, and I'm sure that from everybody, the new ideas more or less tied up to your domain knowledge, and you get inspired to say, okay, maybe what they're talking about that and that technology,
Yeah.
that ingredient, that regulation rules could tied up to your domain knowledge, could tied up to your development
Right.
process, and that could be the source for inspiration. Same thing for me too.
Right. I always feel that sometimes what's so mundane and so basic knowledge for someone can spark innovation within you. So that one conversation, networking, like you rightly said, at NYCC events or any other beauty events like within the industry, I feel like you just never know that your answer to the question that you've been thinking about forever might be right there. But you just
Absolutely.
didn't make that effort to go up and ask.
But I would say some something is special for our NYCC.
Absolutely.
One, we have so many amazing programs, events for
Yes. Yes.
education, for all of that. That's where you get exposed to all of those great ideas, innovations. And that's one. Second, I think our organization, NYCC, is a great place to find mentors, which is so important. So for myself, I am a mentor to my students, but I'm also a mentee to many experts in the industry.
Right.
I joined the NYCC Scientific Committee meeting. It's a so rewarding
Yes.
experience for me. But I got so many good advice. I got so many teachable moments. I got great guidance from the expert in our committee. So I
Mhm.
think it's a great way to get inspiration, join those professional organizations, which benefits a lot.
Yeah, I think there is so much more learning that happens when you step out of your comfort zone, join organizations like the NYSCC, like you rightly said, because they have been industry experts, but there's also people who have been teaching for a while. So they
Exactly.
exactly know that for somebody who's like a budding scientist, I think they exactly know what your questions would be because at some point I feel like everybody has been that.
Exactly.
Like,
And I never had any hard time to find a mentor in NYCC. It's
yes.
such valuable resources
Yeah.
for career development,
I feel the
for
same,
and
yeah. I did find some great mentors, I made some great friends over the time and then I feel like I think this is what community is like,
absolutely,
right? Growing,
absolutely.
letting people grow, learning from each other. I think learning is just absolutely indefinite.
Yeah. It-
Like Metali was on the first episode and she
I
said
saw
that
that. I love it.
yes. She said like, she never stops learning and I totally understand that because I feel like the more you ask, the more you talk, the more you learn. Because the day we stop learning is the day we stop growing.
Exactly, exactly. I tell myself and my student the same thing. Yeah.
I love that. Now let's talk about a section in where I ask what beauty and sustainability to our guest is. Like, so according to you, how sustainable our beauty industry currently is?
I think we touched this point a little bit. So I think in general, our industry is moving to a very positive
Right,
direction.
right,
We are more aware of this challenging issue, and we are having a lot of innovative ways to
right.
tackle it. So I think we are getting to a great direction. But again, there are gaps or fragmentation. We need to go further.
Right.
But that's something we're all actively working on. So I think like for the industry, that's like a big picture. But even just for researchers, from like someone who is doing research on this aspect, I think we're all putting our efforts from different angle to tackle that issue that's challenging. So I think it's very promising.
Okay. I feel the same. I do feel like there's so much more, to your previous point, transparency
Yeah,
around that. There is more traceability,
absolutely. That's a absolutely
right?
important. Yeah,
From where the product comes, the
yeah.
finished good, the ingredient, packaging.
Packaging, yeah,
That
big
is
time.
huge. I think we have certain experts who have done a great job when it comes to managing the sustainability aspect for each facet of that, like packaging. There's so much, many people are now moving towards cold process systems for formulations, like to get that method development into place. Ingredients, they have more traceability, there's fair trade,
Yep,
there's all that, there's definitely eco-vatus and stuff like that, that does show that we care.
absolutely. Actually, that's the impression or the take-home message I got from our sustainable symposium event,
Right.
where we had a amazing lineup of good speakers,
Yeah.
and that they bring all of those elements we just talked about
Absolutely.
to our
Yeah.
event, and I benefit so much from that kind of like conversations and those events. I think in general we're moving to a very strong direction towards that area.
Yes. Amen to that. And then you rightly mentioned about the symposium, right? The sustainability event, I noticed that you had different variety of speakers, right?
Yeah,
I know that was intentional for sure. Could you
absolutely.
elaborate that? Why, like, was that variety of speakers, and what that brought to the table?
So first of all, it was tough. It was not easy to select that lineup of speakers because
Right.
we have so many good
Yes.
candidates who covers a lot of good topics.
Right.
So the reason I think we come up with line of speakers is because everybody bring a little bit uh, different element
Absolutely.
to the conversations. As we talked a little bit about, we have people from regulatory perspective. We have presenters from active ingredients. We have somebody come from the finished products brand side, and they all bring their own perspective to this umbrellaed
Right.
topic, and you can really see the ideas they collide, they exchange, and that really benefits the audience. You can see where they got so inspired
Right.
through the event. So I think that's one of the intention is that there's no single person or entity that could cover the whole theme of sustainability. It's a collective effort to bring all the experts, to bring the whole industry together to have a more sustainable cosmetic industry. So I think that's the intention for those events.
That's amazing. I've told you this in person, but I just want to tell you on camera as well. Thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
It
Yeah.
was amazing.
It
Thank
was
you.
it was very good experience for me too. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, moving to a last question, right? I always ask this to industry experts. For someone starting out
Hmm.
in academics with an inclination toward industry, I would say, what kind of projects or topics like you feel like they should be taking up to kind of lead into the industry?
Any topic. So my approach could be a little bit different. Rather than find out the best subject
Right.
or best project you can work on, if you are someone new to the industry
Mm-hmm.
or you want to work in the industry,
Mm-hmm.
I think I would prioritize what project for the second tier.
Okay.
I will try to immediately get hands-on experience. I think that's more important because if essentially as someone who is new to the industry, you have to quickly grasp what's going on
Yeah.
with the
Mm-hmm.
industry. Sometimes it's really hard to get that if you don't actually dive into a project, dive into a work that you can immerse yourself in and really start to problem solving,
Mm.
which is essential.
Right.
So I think by getting a project to work on a project, you get the opportunity to get exposed to the industry.
Right.
And more or less, you're gonna touch every aspect from the industry. All the project, more or less, they tied up to another direction. And you have time to figure out what you like the most. When you have the experience, when you get the ability to for problem solving, I think at that point, then I would prioritize which direction, which area I would focus more. But I think at the beginning, it's more about like get into it,
Yeah.
get hands-on experience, be part of that, which is really important. Um, the second perspective would be again, surround yourself with good mentors, good experts. Uh, One of the best way to get so is to join professional organizations as NYCC, where you can easily get connected to a lot of experts, a lot of like really good mentors. I think that's very valuable. So if you have a good mentor, if you have good mentors, I think from a career development standpoint, you're gonna make yourself elevated so fast
Right.
if you have a
Right.
good mentor. So I think that's something. If I could give suggestions to someone who want to get into this really good industry, I think that could be one way to go.
Thank you. I think mentorship is so essential and so key because that kind of really helps you map out what options you have within
Yeah,
the industry and also kind of what your path may or may not look like.
exactly. Yeah. So until you try it, until
Yeah.
you work on it, you don't know where you wound up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be a nice surprise.
Absolutely. And I feel like I'll plug in the mentorship program that we have at
It's
NYSCC
amazing.
because we're always looking for mentors. We have a lot of mentees and encourage people to join as much as possible. We're also
Yep.
looking for industry experts who can be mentors, and everything is on the website. So I really do think that that matching program is great because
Absolutely.
early on in the career, you're so clueless. We've all been there, right? We've
Yeah.
been clueless at some point where we didn't know where to go, what the industry would look like.
Yep.
People always think that there's only one path, but there's so much categorization within the industry. There's so much you can do, there's so much you can contribute in different ways than other.
Yes, I think even for my student, you can see that sometimes they are so scared
Yeah.
to reach out. But I think like in NYCC, it's just like you find so many experts who is genuinely willing to
Yes.
help you, to guide you. So I would encourage anybody who is new to the industry, reach out to experts and get the benefits from our organizations, professional organizations, and connect it with the industry. That could be very helpful at the beginning.
Yeah. I also want to mention that sometimes what happens, and I have also done it, right? When you are in that starting phase of looking for a job or internship or however, right, any professional experience, you often feel hesitant to talk to someone in the industry if that person is not willing to help because they don't have an opportunity, right? But I think if you change the mindset and really think about what you can learn from them,
Oh yeah,
and it doesn't always have to translate into an offer or a potential referral,
right.
but also that conversation to understand that, okay, what's going on in that mind of theirs, like what you can learn from them. If you kind of switch that,
Yep.
I would say, how do I say it? I think the point of view
Yeah.
in more ways than the other. I think understanding what you can get from them in terms of knowledge versus a job
Yeah.
or a potential opportunity. I think that switch is very important.
Absolutely. And even from like perspective from the other side,
Right.
as mentors, sometimes of course we get like this good feeling. It's so rewarding to help
Right,
someone.
right.
That's one. And the second is that we also learn. We're
Yes.
also learning from the
Yes.
process. Like we mentoring someone. That's a very good positive feedback we could have. And I think that's a very organic, mutual beneficial relationship between
Absolutely.
mentors, mentee. And this is something I feel like in our industry is really valuable,
Yeah.
and it's something you can see it many places.
Yeah.
So it's a lovely place
Yeah.
to start with.
Absolutely. Because even as a mentor, you learn from uh, the young graduates that what is in their mind, what they're looking for.
Yeah,
So if there is a program or there's an internship program that we might lack, we can bring that, like we
absolutely.
can tweak the program how they want to be learned. Because I
Yep.
feel like learning is always two ways.
It's always mutual,
It's
mutual ways.
always two ways. Mentorship is always two ways.
Yep,
You also have to understand to ask the right questions, but you also want to make sure that you are mentoring the way one wants to be mentored
absolutely.
versus the other way around.
Absolutely.
Right?
The other thing I think is it might be challenging for someone who is new to the industry is that they don't have experience.
Yes.
They might think they don't have enough experience. I think sometimes it's true, but also our organization NYCC provide a lot of hands-on experience.
Yeah.
You mentioned about we have this mentor-mentee
Right.
program. We also have the intern program,
Absolutely.
and we have the workshop,
Yes.
chemist
The future chemist
workshop,
workshop, right?
which is amazing. Which like literally you have students put on their lab coat, get on the bench space,
Yeah.
start work with the experts, and start to have experience with formulation, with compounding. It's amazing. It's a great place to start
Absolutely.
the hands-on experience.
Can I tell you a funny story?
Let's do.
When I was interning, or rather when I was studying at FDU, right, I wanted to apply for my very first internship. And the first one is the most difficult one
Yes.
ever. And I remember going to my career counselor, and she was like, okay, let's review your resume, right? And I had never worked in India back then. So I had really did not, like you rightly said, did not have any industry experience or any
Mhm.
experience rather
Yeah.
in the corporate world. So I remember back in India, we have something called as a prefect council. So I was the head girl in my high school, and I would always that was the only experience.
Yeah.
So that was the only leadership experience I had. And then I remember I attended the Future Chemist workshop. And I think for my first internship, and maybe after that as well, I would mention that as my skill, that I attended the Future Chemist workshop
Yes.
as a junior chemist or as a budding junior chemist.
Exactly.
And I think,
And look at where are you now
I mean,
today?
yes, but also I feel like how inconsequential it might seem in that moment. It doesn't matter because I feel like I did put myself out there. I did go to the Future Chemist workshop. I did do the experiments, and it does help in the long run. So to to say it in short, I feel like however small it may look like
At
on
that
paper
point.
in that world, at that point, it does really build up because you have to start somewhere.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's okay. We love that.
That's amazing.
Thank you so much for it. Like, this has been a great conversation, and I truly,
Thank you
truly
for
mean
having
it.
me.
Of course. My last request to you is I've done this thing where I ask my guests to write something about their experience, and towards the end of the season, we'll open up the chits and see what thoughts you guys had.
Wow.
So there's
That's
a
wonderful.
Thank you. There's a post-it right on the right side, and there's a
Yep.
pen if you could write something, and you can choose whatever color post-it you want, and then you can put in the pineapple thingy right there.
I will do that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Shall we do it now?
Yes,
Okay.
definitely.
Because the topic is sustainability, I'm gonna choose a green.
Love it.
sticker. All right, I'm gonna put this into.
Yay! Thank you so much, Hank. This has been amazing. Truly, truly appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Thank you for listening to The Science Shaping Beauty. If you like what you heard, be sure to download wherever you access your podcasts. Want more information on NYSCC and its premier industry event, Suppliers Day? Visit nyscc.org. Registration is now open. We look forward to seeing you there, and until next time, keep shaping beauty with science.